All right, we are live. What up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm just gonna invite my homie Elijah. Give me a quick second. Elijah, where's he at? Yeah, how about we do that? Why can't I find you anywhere, bro? Ooh, what up, Jess? Long time no see. All right, so today's live is to talk about how to help control emotions. I'm just looking for our guest. Quick second. On Insta. There he is. Send request. All right. So we're just waiting for our guest. We'll talk about how to help control emotions, and then we're gonna go more specifically for football players. What
Hey
up?
man, what's good?
How you doing? Doing well, man. Doing well. Everything's great. How are you?
I'm just eating right now.
All right. What are you eating?
I'm just eating some oatmeal.
Ooh, I need that.
Yeah.
I'm on that weight gain diet, bro. Um, so how's your morning going, bro?
Just got my eyes checked out, and
Okay.
they were like, well, my vision got worse, so I'm getting new prescriptions now.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
New glasses and eye contacts?
I'm not getting eye contacts. I think I'm just gonna get glasses.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So I was just explaining before we got on why we're here. So basically, how to help control emotions, and then we'll get more specifically into the football world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but talk to me a bit about you, about so your name, where you're from, what a bit of your journey through your life.
All right. So my name is Elijah, and my whole life was like always around football, obviously, like from like elementary to high school, and I always use that as like a way to identify myself
Yeah.
throughout like my life. And then as soon as I kind of, just what you call that? I got a concussion like my first year of university, and then I thought I was gonna recover from that, but then it just for 6 months it was ongoing, and then I was having doubts in myself and if I could still keep going because already I had ruptured my Achilles, and I
Yeah.
thought that was like the end, but then I still had hope. So then I reached out to you
Mhm.
once, like I thought it was better, but then I realized that I was rushing through my recovery, and then afterwards, like, I still pushed through the grind. You helped me out a lot throughout those years, and it got me to where I wanted. Like my dream was never to like play like pro football. It was actually just to go into the university world and just feel it out. And once I got there, I realized that it's not the same. It's more it's more like it takes more on how basically it takes more a toll on you, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it was more intense from what I thought compared to like CJUP
Mhm.
football, or like you have to be like you're basically there from like it's a 9 to 5 job, and then
Yeah.
after that it's like you work overtime because you got to go to gym and you got to do some tapes. And I was like, yo, this is too overwhelming. And what didn't help was that first week of training camp I got sick.
Yeah.
Like I got a bad fever, and then once that happened, um
Yeah.
once that happened, we like I still pushed through it and I was still doing good. And then I made it to second string. I
Hmm.
was happy with myself. And then when we had our game versus York, bad luck just happened. I tried going for a one hand catch. The
Mhm.
guy just pushed me and I just whiplashed against the ground. And then after that, like I thought it was good. So then we had 12 on 12s, and
Mhm.
then the coach was giving plays, and I just kept doing everything wrong. And I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell is wrong with me? I was like, am I nervous? And then coach was like, are you nervous? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm nervous. Like, I don't feel nervous. And then after that, like it was the initiation night that night too, but I didn't go. And
Yeah.
then the next morning, I woke up with a huge headache, and people thought I had a hangover, but I knew right away it was a concussion, and
Wow.
yeah.
That's big. That's
And then
big.
I knew like after that point, I was like, I'm done with football. Like, yo,
Yeah.
football
So
is done. Yeah.
if you could take one lesson that football has taught you, one lesson. Now football has taught us a lot of lessons, but what would be that one lesson?
One lesson,
Yeah.
honestly, I feel like hard work could get you many places.
Hmm.
That's just in my case, because me being like what, like an Asian guy that's like, oh, not even like average height, who's like below like the height for like football standards. Like with hard work, I was able to make it, and that just showed me that in life, like if you just put your heart to it and just keep going at it, like you could go places no matter what.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, bro. So everybody, this is Elijah. Um, we've been together for how many years now?
Since Champlain, that's like 2016.
Holy shrimp. So going on almost 5 years. Um, so we have the chance to work together, to push ourselves past our limits, and we are here today. Um, so Elijah asked me two questions yesterday, and I thought it'd be a great idea after speaking with one of my partners that we would answer the questions on live because I'm sure Elijah's not the only person who has these questions, and I have a few answers, and it's from things that I've learned. I'm no pro at this. I go through the I go through the steps every day. But so, what was your first question you asked me?
Um, I think it
If
was
you,
mostly to like how to control emotions and not act upon it, or mainly like how do you have self-discipline,
yeah, yeah,
basically.
yeah. So, how do you control your emotions and how have self-discipline? So, to control your emotions, I'm going to ask you this question. You ever been frustrated?
Yeah.
Um, and so let's say, what are some of the reasons you're frustrated? Is it because, I don't know, you're going to do something outside and it rains, or someone does something to you? Uh, what are some of the reasons sometimes you're frustrated?
It's most in my case, it's mostly things because um let's say like it's something that I can't control.
Yeah.
Like even though like you feel like you could control things, like
Hmm.
you just can't let it like you can't control it because they're their own person, or like that's how it is. And
Hmm.
you always try to feel like you could control that situation, but in the end, like that's why I get frustrated and I don't have self-discipline. I just act to think that it could actually happen, but in the end, it doesn't.
Okay. Awesome.
Doesn't. Yeah.
Awesome. Because I asked that question because that's where I find myself most frustrated. I know that's like one of the most prominent emotions is when I want to control somebody else, or I let somebody else's actions control me.
Hmm.
And a great way to help get rid of frustration is to turn it into fascination.
What do you mean by that?
So let's say you drive, right?
Yeah.
All right. And let's say we're at a four-way stop, and it's clearly your turn to go. Clearly your turn to go straight or turn, and then but somebody says, "No, I'm going to go," and they cut you off.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, what does that change exactly in your life?
Well, obviously it pisses you off.
It pisses you off, but at the end of the day, what does it change physically or time wise?
I guess nothing.
Not much, right?
Not much.
Um, and so as you go, let's say the person cuts you off, and then you have to follow them, and they're driving slow. What do you do? Now, let's say the limit is 80, and you usually drive 90, or yeah, 90, and they're going 75. What do you usually what's the usual reaction?
You're slow. They're slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might use some words that are not too not too nice.
Yeah.
Um, but what I'm getting at is that from the start, what's going to help is the sense of taking responsibility. So I'm at the stop. This person cuts me off. Instead of going into that state of frustration, be like, wow, they just cut me off. Now, why was I there in the first place? Now you track back throughout your day what brought you to that stop. So all the reasons why you were there, all the things that you controlled, like I left at home 5 minutes late or 5 minutes early, and that made ça ça a fait en sorte. So that was why I was there at that time, and that person cut me off. And then while you're following them and they drive extra slow, a perfect uh, way to control the frustration of being like, yo, I'm really in a hurry, and this person is driving 5 kilometers under the speed limit. I'm gonna be late. Well, just tell yourself I could have left earlier, or to say this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. This is perfect timing, because if they're driving this slow and I'm in a hurry, maybe they're saving me from a crash that's ahead.
Mhm.
Maybe. So it's all of these little things that you could tell yourself, and it bottles down to self-talk, having a talk
Self-talk.
with yourself. That's one of the best things you can do, because to be honest, to control emotions, it's something that has to do with inner. It's nothing that has to do with outer. It all starts within you. So you can kind of call it inner peace, right? And to have that inner peace, who do you have to talk to?
Yourself, obviously. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So, if I could shrink it down into like a few points, in order to help control emotions, instead of being frustrated, be fascinated in the sense like, wow, this person just cut me off. They must be in a hurry, and then they must be in a hurry. They must be late.
Yeah.
And then if you're following them and they're driving really slow, then be like, okay, they're not late, but you know what? They're probably saving me from something that's ahead. Now that just makes the game a little more interesting, right? Because the situation doesn't change. The only thing that changes is the way you see it. All right. So frustration. So be fascinated instead of frustrated, and then take responsibility. What you are there because of the actions you took before that event. So yeah, that's a few things that can that can help.
I'm just writing that down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And again, uh, I use this every day, and it doesn't always work, but having it work at least once a day will give you a lot better. It will make you a more patient person,
Mhm.
not only with others but with yourself.
Yeah.
Um, but it does help bring a bit more inner peace because everything starts within you. Yeah, yeah,
Makes
yeah.
sense. I mean, I've had that always in my head. It's just that, like, I guess applying that situation is, say, out of your control. Like, well, it's not out of your control, it's within your control, but it's just that you always, like I said, you said to be fascinated. I
Yeah,
guess,
exactly. That'll.
like you said, it doesn't work sometimes, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, actually, more specifically for people who cut you off. Okay, everybody who drives. Here's something that I use. People that cut you off, they're there to cut you off. They're cutter offers. That's how you have to. That's how I see it. I mean, if If they didn't cut me off, they wouldn't be doing what they're supposed to do. So when they cut you off, be like, hey, I've seen you. I saw you yesterday. Yeah. I saw you're the cutter offer. All right. That's all right, man. You go ahead and cut me off and you go about your day. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't change much in your life. Right? They cut you off and they leave and they probably don't even care about the situation, and you're the one left usually frustrated and angered, and that's how you start your day off, usually when you're going to work, or either going to work or coming back. So either you're going into work frustrated, or coming back home and getting home frustrated, and the other person doesn't even know or doesn't care for the matter. So the only person that's left hurt is you, right? So forgive that person, man. Forgive them. Forgive them. They just be like, man, cars don't have a brain. They don't understand. Once you take the person out of the equation and you just say that a car doesn't have a brain, you're all
Hmm.
good to go, man. Because
Yeah.
yeah.
And like what's weird too, like it's just like that one factor like throughout the day can mess up what could make you think it could affect your day,
Yeah.
which is not that good, you know? But in the end, it's like I mean it's hard for me to still have that like inner peace with myself. But at the end of the day, like I know that's what I have to do. But it's
Yeah.
just that applying it I guess it takes practice.
So it takes diligent practice. So the thing is the way to have it embedded in your habits, to make it a habit where you automatically think fascination, is to do it with little events in your life. Something that's not too serious.
Hmm.
Let's say, I don't know, you spill a glass of water. And when I spill a glass of water, uh, sometimes I'm really mad at myself. I'm like, bro, you couldn't just like watch what you're doing, right?
Hmm.
Or with my kids, I really get frustrated.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like,
Yeah, I understand.
you couldn't just hold your cup properly. And then that's when I switch it over and be like, wow, okay, so I didn't give them the cup properly, so that's why they dropped it. Or
Hmm.
I should have watched. It's fascinating how an adult can spill a cup of water just as much as a child.
How does.
So with little things throughout your life, not just like the big events, but the little details, the little events in your life, if when you work on them during those with throughout the little details, that's when your brain, your subconscious will be like, okay, so that's what it's like. Boom, boom, boom. And then when the big events come, and because they will, right? No matter what, we all have big hurdles to go through in life
Hmm.
to get over. But you'll find yourself habitually, without thinking about it, your subconscious will be like, okay, so this is fascinating. Why is this fascinating? Instead of being like, oh my goodness, and yeah, we won't use the words that we usually use.
Yeah. I mean, I started doing that like more
Mhm.
and more, but like you said, with little events, like when my when my mom like gets mad at me, and I'm like, and I automatically think, oh, I think she's having a bad day, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, I'm not gonna react on that. I'm gonna be like, and I stop myself, and I just react in a way where I'm like, okay, okay, mom, I won't do it. Like I'm more understanding than just be like, no, I'm not gonna do that type of thing. But more now, I'm just like, okay, even with my siblings. Like
Yeah.
sometimes like I get mad even though they do something wrong, but in the end they're just kids. Like
Yeah.
they don't know any better.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Wow.
Yeah.
And and you had a second question,
Hmm.
more specifically for football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think my question was that I forgot what I wrote. I need to go.
If I remember well, you asked, so how do you stay disciplined? Because when we had football, we had a structure.
Yeah, exactly. We had a structure.
Okay, we had a structure, and how do we stay disciplined after football? So to all my football players, right? Um, so just for example, so during the season, Elijah, during the football season, do you find yourself more structured with everything around your life?
Yeah, I did.
right?
I did
Because you
because
have,
yeah,
go
because you
ahead, go
follow
ahead.
the schedule. You follow the schedule, and like you always stick to that schedule, and you know better to not like go through like do stupid things
Hmm.
outside that schedule because it's football season. You gotta like your mind has to be straight into that one thing, right? But and when you compare it to life, like life is just like that. I mean, you could always have goals, but in the end, like so many things could come into like your life. Even with
Hmm.
football, like so many things could come into your life, like injuries or like anything like that. But there's always like basically like a rehab for an injury. There's always somebody taking care of you in the football world, like the system. Like they're not just gonna disregard you. Well, unless like you do something bad.
Yeah.
But in life, it's like you get injured for something, you have to go through it yourself. You have to go do this. You have to know about that. And then with football, it's just I feel like you're more organized with things.
Yeah. So football, like you said, football is a 9 to 5 job, yet when you have football, your life is more organized.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
As I think I speak for a lot of football players that that's how most of us feel. So for everybody who hasn't played football, more specifically university football, um, football is a 9 to 5 job, and you have school on top of it. So during the season, since you have such a tight schedule for football, it actually helps you have a tight schedule for work and school. But once the season is done, after like the last game or practice or walkthrough or film session, I found myself in my room like, what am I going to do with all this free time? Right? It's done, and you're like, no 6 a.m. practice, no training camp, nothing, no games. I have my Saturdays to myself. What am I going to do? And what happens is, if we transition that to after football is actually done, like no more football, um, now you go from having an off season to no more football. So there's nothing more to get ready for. Because actually, football actually even helps for off season because you have to schedule your trainings and everything. So, how to help stay disciplined after football is done. So why did you work out during the off season and stay so like disciplined?
Um,
And
just to keep myself, I guess, in shape,
okay.
to not like lose touch, I guess, of the skills that you worked hard for like during the season,
Mhm.
and that's basically that. And or sometimes you were forced to, off season, you had to do it because the
Yeah.
coaches want you. Well, it was mandatory,
Mhm.
and yeah, that was basically it.
Okay. But the ultimate goal was football, right?
Yeah, it was
That
football.
was that was the why. That was the foundation of everything I could say we did.
Oh, to work out, yeah, like you
Yeah.
worked out because of football.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that was our why. So something that will help after football is done is to find a why. So all that energy you put into football, all the discipline that you put into football is to find something into which you could just transfer that energy. Because what will tend to happen, and this has happened to me a few times, is that when we don't find something to transfer that energy to, is that it just falls, and that's where you tend to like spend days, weeks, if not weeks, a few months, where it's like, man, what am I doing with my life? Like, because that energy needs to be used, needs to be stimulated. So the first step that I find is that you need to find that why. Like, okay, I had football before. Now, I'm more than football. I'm more than just a sport. Now I need to go through. You can go through your life and then find things that you're passionate for, things that you would do for free, that you're great at or you just love to do, and then transfer that energy to that thing. right? So like I just wrote the book. I help people with their nutrition. These are things that I'm passionate about, but that's where I could transfer my energy. And for football players, it's fairly easy. Well, not easy, but it might be better to transfer it to something that you can do as a team,
Mhm.
right? Because you're already used to being in a team. So, versus doing something alone. Because when you go from, especially football, where like everybody's like this to alone, it might be a little hard. Speaking from experience, it does get a bit hard.
It
But
is.
when you can transfer it to something where you're in a team, let's just say you and I teamed up, that already makes a big difference than being at your desk, figuring things out by yourself when you're used to being a huddle of 12 guys and going like live against a 12-man defense and you have to go 80 yards. Like that's for a regular person, that's a lot of stress on the brain. But for someone like like you who's played receiver, it's not stressful. You just need to take that energy that you were channeling into remembering your plays, getting set on your position, having your alignment, knowing, reading the defense, checking with your QB if there's an audible,
Hmm.
running your route, right depth, with your right foot planted at 12, coming back to 10. All these little things. It's a lot of energy, but now it's you need to take that energy and transfer it into another why. So finding your why, and it's you hear it all the time. It's like, oh, find your why, find your why. But what happens is when you find your why, um, so when you find your why, and I see it more as a dream. When you find your dream, because dreams are the fuel to your life. They're gonna help you drive as far as you want, but you got to make sure you have dreams. Um, and that you set goals, ways to fulfill your dreams. So find your that why that you can do, and if you could do it when you do it as a team, it helps a lot.
See, that's that's the thing where like throughout my high school, like my dream was just to play university ball. And I never
Yep.
thought about the goal after that. I was
Mhm.
like I only thought about it once I got that injury. Or no,
Yep.
I actually got like once I ruptured my Achilles because I thought really I was done and then some people told me like no, you can still play football. I was like okay, I'll go ahead. So I
Mhm.
kind of like delayed that okay, what I'm gonna do after. But I
Yep.
knew like in a way school was the only way for me to get to university. So I finished CJEP, I went to university, and then when I got there, like you know when you dream for something and then when you're in that actual spot, it didn't feel like it didn't feel like it anymore. And I for me like I was okay to let football go in a sense because I guess I reached it. But I
Yep.
didn't really plan like, you know, I didn't even play a game. But in a way, I was content because I made it to a team, and you know, like I could have got a starting position, but just things happened, and then I was like overwhelmed with you know the concussion and with other life situations that you know made me quit football, and I didn't know what to do, and I was just left stranded. So I was
Yep.
just like thinking to myself, okay, what do I do now? What do I do now? And even like till now, like it took like a year because I just got that concussion last year.
Hmm.
Like I was like, you know, like what do I do now? And then I realized that I don't like school. I mean, I realized it back then, but I football was my main drive to stay in school. And then once
Yep.
football was gone, I realized there's no point in me being here. So I actually dropped out like a few weeks ago. And
So
now I started, you know, like collecting my thoughts and I've been building to where I want to be in the next few months. And
yep.
it's and like God has a plan, right? So everything is going like according to what I am working on. But
Beautiful.
obviously there's like other factors that didn't go accordingly, and that's why I asked for how do you self-discipline and how do you control your emotions.
Yep.
And now it's just me taking that step forward, but I'm actually scared to take that step forward. With football, it's like you. like after high school, you didn't know what you were gonna do because high school doesn't really teach to take that extra step. They just say you're gonna go out there and do whatever. And like a lot of people quit football. Like out of my high school, only two people play football. Like from
Wow.
my grade. Like there's Dimitri, remember
Yep.
him? Sinolinas, the starting quarterback for McGill. And
Yep.
then there's David Germain, he's a safety for Concordia. So those are
Yep.
the two only guys, but when we went to CJEP, we were like 12 or like even more than that. And then slowly people started getting cut, and then those people that got cut stopped playing football.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just crazy, like a crazy like road, and to see like everybody's like paths like, go different ways is just like, damn,
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. Everyone has their different path. Um, but I have a question for you. So right now you're working on a project, right? And
Mhm.
what happens if you say you're a bit scared. You have a bit of
Yeah.
fear, right? But what happens if you go all out with this? If you give 110% effort towards this, what could happen?
Uh, I guess I lose money in a
Oh,
sense. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
financially, basically I'm going to real estate.
Yep.
So I'm going to La Salle College and it's only a 6 month course, but like it's for 6 months, it's pretty like a lot of money.
Hmm.
But thing is like I said, like when God told me like I said, God has a plan. I was able to find a good paying job to help me support myself for real estate. So I was
Yep.
like, instead of like taking it in like I got lucky, I just took it in as like a blessing because like I was so like worried about like um not finding a job because I applied to a lot of places, even like the low like minimum wage jobs, even though I need to work overtime to like make that money.
Hmm.
Um, the moment I didn't focus on like like getting a job, just it was like for 30 minutes I didn't think about getting a job. Like I was just living my life. That's when I got that call, and they're like, "Oh, hi, we're calling from this place, and we were wondering if you're still interested in that position." And I was like, "Yeah, hell yeah!" Like I was happy because I learned that like when things come your way, just take it. Don't disregard it because it's meant to be, I guess.
Yes, perfect timing.
Yeah, perfect timing, like you said,
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
then the
And
reason why I'm scared for going to real estate because that was never in my mind till this year.
yeah, so it's new.
It's very new.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And here's something that one of the motivational speakers I listen to, his name is Jim Rohn. He says, like, just make a decision, right? So now you're making the decision, you're going into real estate, and just go with everything you got. Because one of two things will happen. One, it will be the right decision. Everything will work out, right? And that's where you're supposed to be. Two, it's still where you're supposed to be, but it doesn't work out. But the fact that you're going with 110% effort, what happens is that you'll find out a lot quicker that it's not the right way than if you hesitated and you stayed home contemplating, or you registered for the course, you paid for the course, and you gave 50% effort because you're like, this might not be for me. And then you end up making it longer than just a 6 month course.
Hmm.
And then so while you're 50% half, let's say half-assing it, like
Yeah.
Coach would say, while you're half-assing it, you could be going 110% and getting through that class and then finding out at the end, okay, it's not for me, what's next?
Hmm.
Right? So the moral of what he means is that whether you're going right or left, just go. Even if
Yeah.
you're scared, just go. Like that feeling of like, oh, but I don't know. Like take that feeling. You can keep that feeling, but still go. Just go. Even with the fear, keep going. And one of two things will happen again. It's either it's going to be the right way, or either you're going to find out a lot quicker that it's the wrong way, and you could start something new.
well, one way that I found out, um, actually, when you told me like you that feeling of uncertainty when you registered for the course, actually,
Yeah.
when I registered for the course, at the end of that, I found myself like smiling. I was happy for some reason. I was like, and like because I guess it was like the first time I took initiative of something that I wanted to do instead of what my
Nice.
parents wanted to do or like everybody else like tells me what to do. And when I applied for it, I was like, wow, I'm actually doing this. And I just felt like happy. But then like I'm not like the reason why I'm scared is because it's a new field.
Yeah. Yeah, of
It,
course.
like anything that I've ever like experienced. Like I'm not like I never got into business like that. But I know like if you want to be successful, like you don't you could work a 9 to 5 job and be successful in your own ways.
Yeah.
But like financially wise, like real estate is a big risk. But at the same time, you could, like make you can make a living out of it. And
Yeah.
me, when I went into it, I just thought about the connections I had with people and the fact that like I could interact with like basically social media, right? I'm good with that. It's just that right now I'm taking a little break because I'm not in the right mindset of things. So I'm like just taking a little break, and once I start school, then I could start, or once I'm comfortable, like I'm still gonna give my 100% in school, but like I'm talking about all the other factors, like like learning how to advertise, networking with other people.
Yeah.
Like I always found that like I'm very interactive with people, and now I'm like t kind of taking like a different mindset, like you said about somebody like cutting you off, or like if somebody's mean to you, but you
Yeah.
could just tell them like you could tell yourself like, oh, he's probably having, like I said, a bad day.
Yeah.
So maybe if you work with that, he could end up like being a great person, and that could be like a life-changing person in your life, you know?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that's how I'm taking like this real estate thing. Like I'm not relying on luck or chance. It's more of I think I know myself that I could interact with other people and
Yeah.
at the same time build connections and just branch out from there.
Awesome. Awesome, man. It's funny because you said one word that stuck out, and it's risk.
Oh,
And I feel like a lot of people are have fear when it comes to risk. But that same motivational speaker in the same speech said that that life is risky.
hmm.
Like life is risk. You know, you can leave. I can leave here, and I might not come back. Life is risky. He said it's so risky that none of us are going to make it out alive. So at the end of the day, you might as well go for it, man.
Yeah.
It's when you step up to the plate and you're about to make that decision and you felt awesome. You felt like you're taking control, right? So
Mhm.
that's why you're smiling and it's something new. So your brain's like, oh man, let's go. Um, Sometimes, some people feel a lot of like they'll see that risk more than they'll see the opportunity.
Hmm.
But when we see that risk and you understand that life is risky, at the end of the day, if I lose money and I lose money, money is fiction, something we created to make the world go round, but
Hmm.
it's a piece of paper or it's some
Yeah.
chain, right? And when we understand that life is risky, we're not going to make it out alive. We might as well just go all out for the decisions we're going to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Does that answer your questions? Does that help?
It helps a lot. I mean, there's other like factors too that in life is just like you said too. It starts with self-talk.
Mhm.
You have to find that inner peace. Like I want
Yeah.
to talk just a little bit more about that. Like, how do you find that inner peace? Because
So
sometimes, well, oh, sorry, my bad.
no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, okay. Um, like I guess I didn't say this, I didn't mention it before, but when I said that I found like my identity in football,
Yeah.
it was more because I found validation from that.
Mm.
And since that's gone, I guess I turn to other people to validate. Like I figured that out like just like what 2 months ago that I
Mhm.
realized that I like finding validation in other people, and which is not that good.
It's it's not actually it's not bad at all.
It's not?
No, liking validation from other people is not bad. Needing validation from other people is different,
Okay.
right? Because that when we say that everything starts within, the only person that you need validation from is you.
Okay.
And a great way to to condition your mind to do this is through audiobooks, books, videos, reading. So books and reading. But so let's say you want inner peace, then study inner peace. Right? It's whatever you want, study it. And it's through all the forms, audiobooks, books, videos. So you condition your mind to habitually go to yourself for validation instead of looking to someone else. And I'm speaking out of experience because I love I love being validated by other people. Like it's something that uh, like when I talk to my friends, I ask them, okay, is this okay? And they're like, oh yeah. Like, why are you asking me if it's okay? Like, you already know it's okay. I'm like, I know, but I just want to hear it, you know? But the thing is when you're able to go to yourself first, look at your work, say, I like this. I like this. This is a pass for me, but I'm just gonna go get the opinion of someone else.
Okay.
Right? And there's I can't remember her name, but she says, you know what? Like on Facebook, we like likes on Instagram, you know, the whole thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But she says she starts off the day every day saying, uh, I like me, so your like is extra.
Mm,
You get it? So when you
yeah.
when you take that control, like, man, I like me, I love me. So whatever anybody else gives me is just extra. So I validate myself at the beginning when if they say within the first 20 minutes of waking up, whatever you're doing, that's going to have a great effect on the rest of your day. So when you wake up, if you can, or sorry, when you tell yourself, man, I love myself. I love myself. I love what I'm doing. That's when you're going to go out throughout your day and you're going to see the likes of people. You're going to post your picture. You're going to see the likes, but your subconscious is going to be like, but remember, you love yourself first.
Hmm.
So again, it's okay to like validation from other people, but don't get attached. Don't need it because when we get to that need and we don't get it, then we're relying on others, right, for our happiness. But what do we say? Everything starts within. So the not the trick, but the way that I've used is tell yourself I love myself and look at your work before you show it to anybody else and say, okay, this needs work. Let me go get the opinion of someone else, see what they think. This is a pass for me, but let me still go get the opinion of someone else. Um, and yeah, it's, when it comes to validation, I understand what you mean.
Yeah. It's just a weird feeling when you actually realize it,
Yeah,
because you're like, damn, it's like I'm being needy.
yeah, yeah,
Like, even with like, even in practice, like with you sometimes, or even with like at Concordia, when I do a play, I'm like, did I do good, coach? You know,
yeah,
and they're like, yeah, yeah, or sometimes they wouldn't even like say anything.
yeah.
And they're just like, or they would just be like, doing that, and that makes me feel like, okay, I'm doing good,
Yeah, it's that instant gratification, that instant
Yeah.
validation. Yeah, I live it every day. I live it every day. It's again, it's okay to like it, but we just need to get detached from it.
Yeah, it's like you said, I need to listen to more audiobooks about, or read books too
Mhm.
about these things. And I don't know if does your book talk about that? Because if it is, I mean, I would buy it
Inner peace?
regardless. Regardless, yeah.
It talks about inner peace. Yes, it does.
It's available
Because,
on Amazon.
yeah, exactly. It's available on Amazon. And the thing is, it's so the book, it's about my journey through football. But the
Hmm.
thing is, it's lessons that I've learned through life, through football. And it's the reason why I want people to read it. It really teaches us that failure is so awesome. That life that we need to learn every day, because the second we tell ourselves I've learned enough, that's the second like your brain's computing, okay, so you've learned enough, so let's just stop everything
Mm-hmm.
and slow down. But we need to keep learning every day. And failure is something that once we understand is our friend and we can use it as stepping stones to get to the next level. Um, every failure is just like one step closer to your success, right? That's like the main points I want, especially uh, young teens to young adults. I really want them to understand that failure is your friend. Take advantage of every lesson that we learn. Like through football, we've had the chance to learn so much because the game of football is so much more than just some players on the field. It goes everything around that. When we talk about school, the locker room,
Mm-hmm.
traveling, the whole shebang.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, available on Amazon as an ebook, as a paperback. All you have to type in is "The Spirit of a Champion," and it'll bring you directly there.
Yeah, I need
Yeah,
to start reading more because, like, I know, like, reading, like, provides you with a lot of knowledge, and I have been disregarding that.
it's very important, and um, something that will help is, and you might have to put your time other places, so you might not have much time to read. So you can give yourself 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day of reading. But then when you're in the car, or you have time to listen to audio, listen to an audio book, listen to a YouTube video. Um, so what I've done is I've listened to YouTube videos so much that I've memorized them. So that habitual thinking, when somebody asks me a question, that's why I'm able to answer very fast without thinking about it because I've listened to the video so much that when I speak about like Jim Rohn, motivational speakers and whatnot and what they said, it's just because I listened to it too so much,
I mean,
right?
I've
So
listened
that
to a few guys, like Les Brown and
perfect.
uh, Eric Thomas, I think that's his name.
Yes, Eric Thomas.
Yeah.
So it's
And
like
always listen to him when I work out.
awesome.
It helps. Yeah.
Yes. So and it's really important because for if you say Eric Thomas, like when you say Eric Thomas, I have a whole bunch of sayings that just pop
Mhm.
up without me thinking about it. But if you say Eric Thomas to somebody who doesn't know motivation, like motivational speakers, she's like, "Oh yeah, who's Eric Thomas?" Right? But it's when you say the name and you're able to say his quotes,
Mhm.
well, that's where your subconscious is sending you. Just like, oh man, like the most famous quote I believe from Eric Thomas is, "When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be
Yeah.
successful." Right? And when you memorize it, what happens is you're able to analyze it, not just listen to it and memorize it, but you're able to analyze it. So I listened to it. I'm like, man, I thought to myself, I've been suffocating my whole life. Like you don't know how much I want to succeed, right? And when you
Yeah.
get to that point that there's actually no destination at all, that you keep striving and striving and striving, um that you want to succeed, that you're like figuratively in life.
Mhm. Yeah.
um that's when life gets interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Et. Yeah.
I think I started listening to him because of you, because I've heard you like when we were at Champlain, like I think I don't know if you mentioned it about like motivational speakers, but I think that's the time where I started to listening to like motivational speeches, and that's where like I had the most I guess during that time I had the most confidence in myself,
Wow.
and then after that,
Hmm.
like once I got my injury, that's
Hmm.
when like my whole like confidence came down. And I stopped listening to those stuff because I guess it didn't really like affect me. And then like also like I got into a relationship, and then like I found validation in that, and
Yep.
then yeah, we're not together anymore. Just putting it out there. Um, like I said, like I said, for the validation thing, like I, in a sense, I needed it.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. When you talk,
Or you made yourself believe you needed it.
yeah, I made myself believe in it, and then the way how you're telling me, like, you always need to know that validation comes within yourself.
Mhm.
It's just something I still really need to work on, like you said, reading audiobooks and and everything else. And when I think about a relationship, in my point of view, is like people come and go in life. Like that's the reality of I for me. I don't know if I'm wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong. But
No, no, you're right.
I feel like that's like the main reality. Like even if you're in like the most healthiest relationship, like things could go wrong, and that you have no control on that other person's feelings.
No,
And then, they could go ahead and do something else, or they could cheat, or they could, break up with you for no reason. And you're like, and that's how I felt. I was like, really? Like I was, shocked. I was like, damn, like I always thought about love being this way, but in reality, that's not how it works. That's not how life works. So it really,
it's fascinating, isn't it?
yeah, it is. And then, I was heartbroken, but
Yep.
at the same time, I was like, um, I was angry and mad. I was still trying to find validation in that person, even though we broke up.
Hmm.
But, like it came to a point where like she's like, I don't need you. I don't want to ever hear you again, type of thing. And it didn't click right away, but I know deep down that that's how it's supposed to be like. It's not, and it makes you realize even if you go back and try to, like say you love them or say this or say that, they're humans too. Like if they have, like if they feel a certain way, why would, like about themselves and about you, why would you put in the effort to make them change their mind if they're so
Exactly.
set in their own life, which you should be too.
Hmm.
And it's, that's basically it.
Yeah. Um, when it comes to relationships, it's very touchy in the sense that everybody's different. Everybody uh, works differently together.
Yeah.
Um, but the biggest part in a relationship is, well, I'm only speaking from experience, is that once we get into a relationship, we tend to believe that it's all about making the other person happy
Hmm.
and really helping them. And we think like helping that the best way to help them is by doing all these nice things.
Yeah.
Doing the nice things is awesome. Like keep doing them. I'm not saying to stop. But the one of the best ways that we tend to forget is to help them is to actually become better ourselves, right? Because that keeps one thing that you can control at all times active is the way that you're developing.
And that's where I lost
So
track too.
So because what happens is when you keep developing yourself, right? So you're in your relationship, but you keep developing yourself, is that the other person will be like, wow, okay, I have somebody that's really striving to be the best version of themselves. And
Yeah.
then eventually both of you do it together. And what happens is, let's say, and you might not stay together, but when it's time to split up, what will happen is that you'll be like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe it is better that maybe it's better that we're not together because if we look at it this way, if we look at it this way, and you go up throughout the pros and cons and the points, you guys are like, okay, well, and the split up is a mutual split up. There's no anger because there's an understanding of what's happening. But
Hmm.
if that doesn't happen, if you stop working on yourself and you stay what we call a plateau, is that, well, there's no more knowledge being acquired. There's no more special things happening. you're not becoming better. So it blows up. And again, speaking from experience, it's I don't have all the answers. I have some answers through experience, but I could, yeah.
Well, I like this. Well, for me, the answer is basically the whole thing about starting with, like you said, the only thing you can control is yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the answer. Just focus on yourself. Like, you
Hmm.
know, when you're in a relationship, like if you focus on yourself, then at the same time you could still focus on that other person. But like if that person respects you as well, as a human being, like they wouldn't get mad. But obviously, like in relationships, you'll have arguments, blah blah blah. But it's up to you guys how you guys handle it, I guess. But it always starts with yourself and how you react to things.
Exactly.
And that's what I got from the whole self-talk. Starts with inner peace. And I'm not gonna lie, when I went into this relationship, I did not have that inner peace. And that's why like all the pent-up emotions that I had from when I got injured, past things, I didn't learn. I didn't learn. I just went in and I just exploded with all this negative things that I had, which led to, now.
Hmm.
So now I see this breakup as as a blessing in a type of way because, well, obviously, like I'm gonna have my days, right, where I'm gonna be like,
Yeah.
damn, I feel this way, but deep down, I know that at the end of the day, all you have is yourself, no matter what. And like you said, you have to have that inner peace to love somebody else, regardless. Because if you can't even love yourself, then what's the point of loving somebody else?
Very well said.
Yeah,
Very well said. Holy crap. Man, I'm
yeah.
proud of you, bro.
I mean, still, like I had to go through a lot of ups and downs to realize this, which I wish I didn't do, but now I know for the better. And
Yep.
it's like, even though it was risky, like in life, I think what you do sometimes it's meant to be, but at the same time, like you just have to learn.
Yeah.
Like if you can't, if you think that this is the way to work and you go do it, and then it doesn't work out the way you wanted, then I guess it's just okay. I learned from that. I know to not do that again.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
yeah.
Bro, thank you so much, man.
Oh, thank
I
you, man.
appreciate it a lot, man. And
Thank you.
we'll be doing a collab very soon to get our YouTube channels going.
Yeah, we should. I think we should do some podcasts. To be honest,
Yep. Yeah.
I
Actually,
wouldn't mind.
I like I showed you, I ordered the mic, so as soon as
Right.
that comes in, we're on.
All right, man.
All right.
I'll let you go, bro. Thanks a lot, by the way.
I love you, brother. Thank you.
Love you too, man. Peace.